Okay, we had the new parts come through from the factory. We'll get them on the car ahead of FP1.
What's going on, guys? It's Luke 22SV here, back with the 20th round of the Mick Schumacher Career mode. We're here for the Brazilian Grand Prix this weekend, and as you can see, we've got some durability upgrades coming to the car for this weekend as well. So no engine upgrades or anything like that. A couple of durability things just to fill in the slots between now and next season. We've got an engine upgrade due to come in Abu Dhabi, and as you can see, we're starting to slip down, and we're 9th best at the moment with Red Bull and Ferrari at the top. Mercedes starting to fall back a bit as well down from the top two, but Force India 4th, Renault 5th, Haas 6th, Toro Rosso 7th and McLaren 8th. So without further ado then, we'll move on into qualifying. What can we do from, well, the 9th best team after a decent result in Mexico, getting 4 points. Well, there you can see we're selecting Kevin Magnussen as our rival, who's pretty much been our rival all season. There's been a lot of things going on between Sauber and Haas in that battle for 6th in the Constructors. So, you know, with 2 races left, can that be finally decided in this race? Can we push Haas out of the fight for 6th, or are they going to claw those points back and actually take 6th away from Sauber? We'll find out. What can we do in qualifying, though? That's the main question, because if we do well in qualifying and put ourselves high enough up on the grid, and hopefully the Haases will be further down the grid. That will be good news for us. As we come to Brazil, one of the best tracks on the calendar without a doubt, and one of my favourite tracks as well to drive on. And we're looking not too bad around this track this weekend as well. A little bit shaky here and there because the car's lacking a bit of downforce and lacking a bit of rear end, but that's something we can take advantage of as well around here. You don't really need a really compact rear end, and having a loose rear end helps you get around the corners as well sometimes. There's particularly a lot of hairpinny kind of corners with Hulkenberg going fastest, and there's a nice short lap here as well with about 1 minute 8 is kind of lap time we're aiming for, and we're getting a bit out of shape going towards the end of sector 2 and a little bit onto the grass. And to be honest, this could have been a better lap time, but we decide to end it here with this lap time. We get DRS and we're coming towards the line, and it's going to put us into a provisional P1, which we're happy with that. And we decide to end the session there, and it's P9 then for the Brazilian Grand Prix, and Sebastian Vettel on pole. Remember, the the Drivers' Championship between Raikkonen and Hamilton, 1 point currently separates Raikkonen and Hamilton at the top. Raikkonen's currently P6, so he's got a lot of work to do in the race on the tomorrow's race if he wants to actually win the championship. But we move on into the race then from the Brazilian Grand Prix. What can we do here? Could the championship actually be decided this weekend? It's a possibility. If Hamilton wins the race and Raikkonen fails to score, then Hamilton will be the drivers' champion for season 1. And, well, that's something that could happen. But we've seen Hamilton failed to score in the last race and Raikkonen pick up all the 25 points, so that could definitely happen in this race. As you can see, Sebastian Vettel's got to keep Hamilton behind him in this race and help his teammate Raikkonen, who's been moved up to P4 actually, and Force Indias are on row 3. Ourselves, we moved up to P7, so there's been a few penalties here and we can't complain about that. Max Verstappen down to P11, our teammate P12, so looking good for ourselves, and our teammate Grosjean down in P16, Alonso and Van Dorn, Ricciardo in P20 as well, so he's had several penalties by the looks of it. So we move on then into the Brazilian Grand Prix. What can we do from P7? Can we get into P5? Because the best of the rest is the 2 Force Indias really in front of us. That'll be a huge challenge for us as we go to the lights out, and away we go now. And it's a fairly decent start as we move the cover off the Renault of Carlos Sainz going into turn 1. And we've got 2 Renaults actually getting side by side with us. We've got the inside line, and we're going to be able to keep the 7th position. So not lost the position, not gained a position so far, as we now come towards turn 4 with everyone slipstreaming each other, everyone trying to gain an extra position, and there's a lot of battles going on ahead of us as Raikkonen is struggling side by side with Sergio Perez, actually looking up. I think there's a bit of contact, and Perez looks like he's got the front of Raikkonen there, so Perez doing his bit, but Raikkonen's not doing his bit for the championship, and this is vital for Raikkonen that he stays in front of Perez. We look to make a move down the inside of Esteban Ocon, and he doesn't really see us coming and turns in, but we do manage to get ahead without losing any of our front wing. So we're up into P6, and well, we're happy with that. Now we're looking to see if we can make an opportunity out of Perez and Raikkonen and see if we can overtake one of these guys. And Raikkonen going a bit slowly, and we happen to take a void in action because we thought we were going to run into the back of Sergio Perez, but luckily we don't. We're going to move on to the end at lap 1 in P6, and a good start. We gain a lap, and also and disclaimer as well is that there you go, expecting rain in 10 to 15 minutes as we go to the start replay. And yeah, just an easy start. We've got 2 runners alongside us going into turn 1. We keep the inside line and we keep ahead of them because they're going to have to force that wide. They're going to take the longer way round, and we're going through into P7 at this stage. And they can see the guys in front of us and think it's actually Sebastian Vettel leading the way, and Bottas and Hamilton going side by side. So Bottas should really be playing a team game, but Hamilton looks to be actually behind him at that point, and you can see both the Renaults going side by side as well. So the 2 Mercedes and 2 Renaults go side by side. And as we come up to the hill, we can see Perez is on the inside line of Raikkonen, actually ahead of him at this point. You can see the 2 Renaults go side by side as we go down the inside of Ocon. Not the best view there for the replay, but as you can see, we're now up to 6th at this point and moving on. But as I said about the rain, there's a good chance of rain coming in this race. We've got 10 to 15 minutes, which, well, the race could be around lap 14, I'm expecting it, and hoping to see some rain, which could really help us get into a podium position perhaps. But we've got Raikkonen and Perez in front of us going side by side, and we're looking to take an opportunity here. Can we get an opportunity to close in on these guys? Are we looking to make an overtake on Raikkonen or Perez? We've got a lot of slipstream. Are we close enough, or we decide not to overtake or not to attempt an overtake? Because 3 into 1 normally doesn't really work, and Perez and Raikkonen are side by side going up the hill. And Raikkonen now looks like he's got ahead of Sergio Perez. So good news for Raikkonen. Can he keep ahead of Perez now? Is Perez going to look to jump back past him? It doesn't really look like it, as we ourselves are looking to get close to Perez and looking to make an overtake on him perhaps. Because if we get past Perez, all we got behind us is the Red Bulls really that are faster than us, really. Although the Force Indians are probably faster than us, but we can still really beat them. It's just that the Red Bulls are a league above us in that sense. And we're off our shape onto the grass. Just a little bit of oversteer, and we just got onto the grass, and that's thrown us back completely. Now we've got to defend from the other Force India. Instead of attacking Perez, we're defending from Ocon. Coming down the straight, we've got Sainz, Hulkenberg, and everyone now behind us because we just bunched up the pack after defending and losing that lot of time there. And we've got Sainz now going down the inside of Ocon, and we look up into turn 1, and it's Ocon staying ahead of the Renaults. But we're coming towards now the turn 4. They're going to have a whole load of DRS. Everyone behind us, as DRS is now enabled. Can Ocon and Sainz get past us? Ocon's looking to the inside to overtake us, and we're going to have to defend, and we let Ocon go past. The Sainz hits us up the back, and we are off the track. Sainz has lost a whole load of his front wing. Come back on side by side with none other than Kevin Magnussen, and who would have thought that? Come up to the hill, and we're out of shape again. Going into the hill, having to overcorrect our oversteer there. But we're almost conceding the position to Kevin Magnussen. But after everything that's happened in the recent races with him, we're not looking to concede that position. We actually overtake, keep our position, and allow our teammate to get through. So a nice bit of teamwork from ourselves there to allow our teammate to get in front of Kevin Magnussen. But here is the replay. We're side by side with Ocon. Sainz is looking for a gap that's not there, and you can't really see from that angle. But Sainz hits me and goes off, and he loses a whole chunk of his front wing and will have to go back to the pits. But here is the onboard then. As you can see, Ocon side by side, and he's just looking for a gap that's not really there. We're side by side. We're looking to defend from Ocon. We're not expecting Sainz just to throw one down the outside. Loses a whole chunk of his front wing and stops there on the track as well. And then he's having to change his front wing and go back to the pits, which is a disaster for him because he's looking to finish 7th in the championship. And Renault need to fight Force India off if they want to finish 4th. But now then, we're moving on to lap 4. We're behind Esteban Ocon and behind Hulkenberg, who's behind what looks to be Max Verstappen as well. As we go down the inside of Ocon again, just like we did on lap 1, and we keep hold of that position and get back ahead of him. So Ocon then has lost a few positions to Hulkenberg and to Verstappen. It's good news for the Renault team. Only one Renault will be able to score here. So obviously Force India had a hell of a result in Mexico, finishing 2nd and 5th. So it looked out of sight really. So Renault are going to need a huge miracle now if they want to finish 4th in the championship. As for the Drivers' Championship at the moment, Hamilton is currently P2 and Raikkonen is currently P4. So Hamilton's going to be gaining points on him, but can we gain points on Hulkenberg? With DRS, we're closing in on him, but we're not quite close enough to make the move into turn 1 yet. Go through the Senna S's and onto the next straight with DRS activated. So we're within a second. Can we get DRS? Are we close enough now to Nico Hulkenberg to make that move down the inside? We don't look near enough close, so we have to back out of that attempted move and move up to the hill, where this is a overtaking opportunity if you're brave enough. But every time we get a chance, we're looking for the weather report. We're looking to see when the rain is going to be coming, and we're expecting rain fairly soon now. So we're coming around to the Sector 2, one of the best parts of the track, definitely. Well, the whole track is just amazing to drive around, in my opinion, and we're locking up a little bit there, but we're closing in on Nico Hulkenberg, and we're looking to make an overtake on him fairly soon. So coming around the last corner then, onto the back straight and onto the main straight, looking to make an overtake on Hulkenberg. We look closer now this lap with the opportunity for DRS to come. We might not even need DRS because we're getting so much closer to Hulkenberg. We're going round the outside and we're past him before we've even made it to turn 1. So into P7 we go. Just Max Verstappen ahead of us now, and it might be able to catch up with Max Verstappen. Actually, he's not really pulled away from Nico Hulkenberg, but it's a question we have to leave unanswered for now. But moving on to lap 7, we're actually boxing this lap, going to pit for some new tyres, and actually decided a brave strategy at this point to fit on super soft tyres again. Fit on the same tyres we've had on already, so the red mark super soft tyres are going to be going on again. So that means we'll definitely have to make another pit stop. So we're really banking on there being rain now, and banking on the rain actually helping us move on to intermediates. So with these super soft tyres, we'll be faster than the guys switching over to soft tyres, or Carlos Sainz who's had to switch over to the medium tyres. But we're down in 19th, the only guy that's pitted so far, other than Carlos Sainz. But we're out of the pits now and hoping to gain a position on Max Verstappen, because we were behind him, and if we get the undercut, we can move ahead of Max Verstappen and move up into P6, which will be good news for us, but bad news for him. But now then, moving on to lap 10, it looks like Max Verstappen is now coming out of the pits, and indeed he is. Can we get past Max Verstappen? He's on the inside there, as you can see, coming out the pits. We're actually, yes, we can get ahead of Max Verstappen as we come out the pits, and we're into P6. That's a great little undercut from us. Now all we need now is for the rain to come down in the last few laps of this race, and we need it soon, otherwise it's just not going to work for us, this strategy, and we're really banking on that. It's a huge risk, and it's not really a risk we needed to take either, because if we did actually manage to get the undercut with soft tyres, we would have been in 6th place anyway. But at the time I thought maybe it would be good enough to gain another position and close in on Sergio Perez perhaps, but it was only necessary to keep ahead of Haas, and we just don't really have a title fight at the moment. Just hoping to keep Haas behind us, and well, moving on to the end of lap 10, we're in good position though, but now all we need to focus on is getting the rain, and we really, every time we get a chance, weather report, and 5 minutes is the time we're going to get rain, so that could be now or whenever. And moving on to lap 15, we've now got a bit of rain. It's starting to rain, but as you can see, that is not going to help moving us onto intermediates, and we really need it within a couple of laps. Otherwise, if we do pit for intermediates now, they're not going to lose much time from being on dry tyres still. They're not going to pit either, so we're now starting to lose time to Max Verstappen, who's closing in on us as he's thinking about making a move up towards the hill, but it doesn't in the end, and we're a bit out of shape, and we're starting to lose a bit of grip now because we're on these super soft tyres. They're going to be wearing out a little bit more than these soft tyres behind us, so we've just got to try and keep Max Verstappen behind us, although it's going to be inevitable. He's going to get past us unless the rain comes down harder, which we're hoping for. That's all we can hope for at the moment in the Brazilian Grand Prix, with just 5 laps to go. Well, 4 laps to go I should say. Well, 3 laps to go I should say. After this one's finished, we'll move on to the end of this lap. Can we get the rain to come down harder? Can we actually get in the points? There's a huge amount of question marks over this race now, as we end up colliding a little bit with Max Verstappen there as we head towards turn 1. A little bit of a warning, and we're trying to keep ahead of him, and we're just out of shape, just trying to defend. And this is slowing us down as well now, so everyone else behind is going to close up the gap, and it's just been perhaps a huge strategy that's not come off, and with every lap that comes, it's just looking more and more unlikely that we're going to be able to keep this now. And Max Verstappen now looks to have got past us, and Again, we lose a bit of our front wing there, and Verstappen sort of gives us a little bit of a swipe. So that's 2 races in a row we've actually had contact with Max Verstappen now. So we've got incidents with Magnussen happening, incidents with Verstappen happening. Just don't know what's going on this season, and we've had a lot of incidents, and that will be something we're hoping to rectify in Season 2, because obviously it doesn't look like we'll be getting a Ferrari drive at the moment, with us being very reckless and stuff like that as well. But nonetheless, we're on lap 17 with just 2 laps to go, so we're going to have to pit at the end of this lap no matter what happens, and Verstappen is behind us, and we've run off the track now, and it doesn't look like we're going to be able to keep hold of him in front of him any longer. And indeed, we will have to pit at the end of this lap anyway, otherwise we get disqualified, and we literally just run off the track now, and that's it. Verstappen's gone, and we can't do anything about that now, so we're just going to have to concede the position to Max Verstappen. I don't think he'll be too happy about being behind us for that long, but I don't think he's going to be able to catch up to Sergio Perez either, because he's gone now down the lane, and Hulkenberg is closing in as well, so Hulkenberg will be looking to close in and overtake us, but hopefully we can get to the pits. But coming around the last corner, we're onto the curb and onto the grass, and we're out of shape, and we're in a spin, and that has caused us to spin, and we collide a little bit with Hulkenberg as we're just falling backwards, and actually get a time penalty, a 5-second stop go for spinning into Hulkenberg. I'm not really sure how that's a penalty, but we get a penalty nonetheless. We're coming into the pits now to change our tyres, and our teammates behind us. So the good news about this race is that the Sauber of Leclerc, my teammate, is ahead of both the Haas drivers, and we end up getting another penalty there as well for speeding in the pit lane. So it's just gone all badly wrong in the last few laps for us. Just a terrible race for us in the end, and we have to wait for those tyres. And here's the replay then, and we just go off the track and we're in a spin, and this is what we get a penalty for. We just spin a little bit of contact with Hulkenberg. There's nothing either of us could have done about it. Hulkenberg's going around to avoid, and as much as he could, and I can't really help. I'm in the spin, I can't control the car, so a huge disaster. But we're out of the pits now, and we're on to the final lap of the race, and we're in P16. We got another 5-second penalty as well, so we're pretty much as good as last at the moment, as we're on these intermediate tyres. Is the track wet enough? And Vettel wins the race for Ferrari, finishing ahead of both Mercedes cars and Kimi Raikkonen as well. So Vettel doing his bit for the team, keeping Hamilton behind him as we move towards the end of the race, and DRS is actually disabled now, so it actually looks like it has gotten wet enough for intermediates, and we're closing in on the guys on dry tyres. So, you know, it could have worked if we didn't have those spins, and perhaps, but it's just thrown us so far down the order that it wouldn't have even mattered now, and we're going to have to settle for another result outside of the points, where it could have been so much more than that. And we've said that a lot this season, where we could have just done so much better than what we have, and that's why we haven't got a Ferrari drive for next season lined up, because we've just been so inconsistent this season and making too many mistakes. But we are looking like we're going to be able to keep our Sauber drive though, but we do cross the line in P14, which will now become a different position because of our 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, and it is indeed 17th in the end. So a huge disaster in the end, a disappointing end to that race, a disappointing after what was a good position in the start of the race, P7 on the grid, P9 in the initial qualifying. We're going to move on to the end of the race, and luckily for us, Leclerc gets some points for the team, helping us keep ahead of Haas in the constructors. So we move on to the final race of the season in Abu Dhabi. Just one race left in the season. What can we do? It's just a huge question now over whether we can finish ahead of Haas, whether Raikkonen or Hamilton will win the Drivers' Championship, and whether all the other battles will just get decided as well. But they're not really too relevant. That's just the two relevant ones to us. The Drivers' Championship is quite relevant to the career mode. But we're currently P9 in the standings, but that's not too bad for us this season. As you can see, we're now 10 points ahead of Haas, so they got their work cut out if they want to overtake us now in the last race. But Ferrari are Constructors' Champions. That's mostly thanks to Bottas being a liability for Mercedes. But there you go then. That's going to be the end of the episode for us. We'll see you in 2 days' time for the last race of the season, Abu Dhabi. Thank you guys, like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon for Abu Dhabi, the last race of the season.